And welcome back to Subculture. Well, we've been counting down the days until the comedy festival kicks off in Melbourne, and one of the shows we're really excited about this year is Geraldine Quinn's brand new show called The Passion of St. Nicholas. So we thought, you know what, we want to know all the nitty-gritty about this show, so let's get Geraldine on the phone today to chat all about it. Welcome to the program, Geraldine.
Hi, David. Thanks for reminding me how soon the festival is.
It is fast approaching. It is absolutely crazy. But Geraldine, like I said, there are so many people out there who are eagerly anticipating your show. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the Passion of St. Nicholas, because this is a rock cabaret, I understand.
Oh, that's what I do. I write rock cabarets.
Yeah.
This is a show I've been kind of musing on for a while. And it's a brand new world premiere at Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and it's about my relationship with my brother, who wanted to play music as much as I did when we were growing up. It's ended up a lot of, I'm going to spill a lot of high school secrets of two people with really big dreams, and unfortunately one of us isn't here anymore. I'll give you a guess. I'm still here.
Yeah. It sounds like you were very competitive. So what was that like growing up, being competitive with a sibling like that?
Oh my gosh, you've hit the nail on the head. Because it's a total learning curve. When you go, no one write about me and Nick. My brother's name was Nicholas, hence the title. And the more we were writing about it, the more I sort of realised that everything that was teasing out was when I was being super competitive. I don't know if you've got siblings, but I've got 6 siblings.
Yep.
And my brother and I were the closest in age, and we were quite close because of our similar interests. So I went to high school and immediately got, oh, you're Nick's sister? Oh my God, you're Nick's sister? And just the way that fueled me to want to be better at everything in performance. But then what ended up happening in our adult lives is I kind of kept pursuing it, and Nick kind of moved on to other things. So it's not completely at loggerheads. There's something about the competitiveness of siblings, I think, that makes us, spurs us on to achieve things we want to achieve, because he was the first person who'd always be like, yeah, absolutely, you can do this.
Yep. We've all heard that. Like, I heard that when I was at school with friends who had siblings go through our school, and they always cop the comparison. And then my mother-in-law always tells me that her older brother was actually the naughty boy at the high school at the time. And so when she started, teachers would roll their eyes and go, oh, not another one of you.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic breeding ground for them to have a great reputation laid before you.
Yeah, but what does that spark inside you? Like you said, if for you it sparked that wanting to be better kind of thing. But how does that go? Like, what did you do then when you wanted to be better and show that you weren't just in your brother's shadow? How did you go about that when you were at school?
We were pretty interested in similar things, so performance and music especially, and we both had the same music teacher, and our teacher we were in a kind of lower socioeconomic but private Catholic school in the outer suburbs, so it was very focused on sport, but we had a handful of humanities teachers that were phenomenal. I wouldn't be singing today if it wasn't for my music teacher.
Yeah.
And she'd already taught him, so I didn't feel the pressure of you have to be as good as this from her. I felt an excitement from a really great teacher of, oh, wow, I've just taught Nick. Let's see what you've got. So we were really fortunate in that respect. We had the same literature teacher, the same music teacher, and I think they were really big influences on both of us. So every time we did get a bit competitive, there was still kind of an underlying bedrock of mutual support.
Yeah, and sometimes I think also, it sounds like we had very similar high schools, because I went to a high school that was very sports orientated, and yeah, I was on the football team, but I was also very much into drama and literature and music, and because I noticed all of the times when we had an assembly, everybody would always praise the athletics team and the swimming team, but I think it actually made me more determined to be good at drama and music and literature, but also I think the teachers realized that as well, that perhaps what they were doing was not quite as recognised by the headmaster as the sports teachers. So there was a lot more caring and nurturing nature. Did you find that as well amongst the arts?
Yeah, 100%. You just basically described exactly what it was like at St. John's. It was like, and the thing is, there were a huge amount of really talented, artistically talented students at that school. I remember you said assembly, and I just laughed because we had an assembly one year where one of our Italian teachers got told, no, we know that some of your students scored very, very highly in the Dante Alighieri poetry competition, but we don't have time for them to come on stage.
Yep.
They then proceeded to give a participation award to every single member of every sports team.
Oh.
And Miss Pasquale was just doing rounds. She's pacing back and forth, tapping on her watch dramatically, going, you didn't have time for our 2 poetry students, did you?
Yeah.
It was exactly the same.
Yeah, we had an incident like that. One of my friends actually picked up one of the major art awards at the Royal Melbourne Show, which is a pretty big thing for art for that age group. And same thing, no, there's no time for her to come up and receive an award at the assembly, but they gave an award to someone who had finished 16th in the Victorian Cross Country Championships.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of people who've got similar stories from their high school, so they should come along.
Definitely. So, Geraldine, you picked up so many awards and nominations for your shows in 2022. Do you feel pressure now when you sit down to work on a show, having Golden Gibbo nominations and Most Outstanding Show nominations? Do you feel an added pressure these days?
I think in any other year, yes, I would, and yes, it's like it would be the difficult second album for most people, but for me, it's the difficult 17th show or something. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time. But I think that pressure got very much overshadowed by the subject matter, like actually writing about I've never really written a lot about my family. And this is very much me and Nick, but I've never really written about us before. And to lose somebody so young, my brother died at age 45. So to lose somebody really young, there was more of a pressure of this has got to be right and this has got to capture all the joy of those stories that we're talking about, of being at high school when you first discovered music or had that great teacher who encouraged you, and the triumphs that we had together, and that the older you get, the more you kind of look back at those times and go, oh yeah, that's right. That's when the idea of performing or creating anything, not just being an artist, was really exciting, and the world felt huge. So that was more of a pressure, I think.
Did that change the way that you approached putting this show together? Like when you sat down to first write about it, did you find that this one had a bit more of an emotional journey with it when you sat down to work on it?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a therapist. Yes. Yeah, and it's also important to... I wouldn't really be doing music today if it wasn't for the shared passion that we had growing up. So it was important that I was I was in my own story, but that my brother's always a part of sort of a lot of what I've done. And I think sibling relationships are so unique, and they can be a little harder for some people to wrap their heads around if they haven't had that experience of losing a sibling. So I definitely feel like it became something that I wanted to think carefully about and have the right people around me to do. And I actually talked to a lot of people who've done shows about bereavement of various family members, and all over the world, artists all over the world, when I was over in Edinburgh last year before, and people here in Comedy Festival last year, just to kind of go, am I nuts to try to do this? And a lot of people with completely different stories of their journey going, no, you absolutely can. You've just got to find what that thing is. And when we cracked it, it just felt like, yeah, this is the right time for me, and it's a story I want to tell, and I'm loving the new songs. Oh, so much.
If you don't mind me asking, how long does it take you to put together a show like this? Because you've got that difference for most of the shows at the Comedy Festival, whereas you're putting together songs. So how long does it take you to put together a show like this?
Well, that's a tricky question because it really depends on what you mean by put together. If you mean the whole, I've been trying to turn this over in my mind for 4 years.
Yeah.
But as far as like the practicalities of, for example, the music, we had to go into a studio and smash out the core of some of the songs in, I think we did it in 2 and a bit days, and then it's just been plugging in other musicians and other mixes for the last couple of weeks when there's time. So if you had all the money in the world and you had all the people that you want to get involved, because I'm very lucky, all the musicians involved in the tracks are people I really like. Some of them knew my brother as well, and they've contributed amazingly to the sounds. They're the people I wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you could probably, and everything was written, you could probably put it all together in a week, but life doesn't work like that. Life never works like that. You find the pockets of time, you fill them in, and somehow it comes together if you just keep your eye on the prize, and it's all come together really beautifully.
Definitely. Now, for all of our listeners out there, Geraldine Quinn's show, The Passion of St. Nicholas, is on at the Comedy Festival from the 28th of March right through to the 7th of April. It's at the Malt House in the Tower, and if you want details about where to get tickets and show times and things like that, go to our subcultureentertainment.com website, because we've got a link where you can grab the tickets and get all the information from. Geraldine, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are thinking about heading along and checking out The Passion of St. Nicholas?
Well, yes. I hope you have a good time. It is a really funny show, and I think that it'll remind a lot of people, just like our conversation, of that real joy and drive you had when you were a kid, and that you don't need to lose it.
Definitely. So for everybody out there, again, those show times, there's previews on the 28th of March, and then the show kicks off on the 29th of March right through to the 7th of April, and all of those details are up on subcultureentertainment.com.